Ladies and gentlemen, the prospect of World War III once again arrives at our doorstep. A lot of people don't like it because they feel it's hyperbolic to say. But we have a breaking story from this morning. A U.S.-owned cargo ship was just struck by a missile off the coast of Yemen. This is the video of the incident, which I will play for you in just a second, but I want to show you the headline here. Houthi-fired missile strikes a U.S.-owned vessel off Yemen in the Gulf of Aden, raising tensions. Raising tensions is one way to put it. So this story is from last night, sorry. The video is popping up and going viral this morning, so I should clarify. I misspoke, but this is very serious and shocking news. Aside from this, we also have the story from Fox News. A Houthi cruise missile fired from Yemen toward U.S. warship, shot down by fighter jet. That's from this morning, and things are starting to heat up. Let me tell you what I mean by World War III. And a lot of you watched all of my shows and all of my clips, so you understand this point already, but not everyone does, so I'm gonna repeat it for those who have already heard it. You get it. World war does not mean the U.S. versus Russia or the U.S. versus China. World war means there is war all over the world. Venezuela is threatening Guyana. Ukraine and Russia are at war, and that could spread. Reports that Finland is shutting its border. Sweden's preparing for war with Russia, or they're giving those warnings. Israel, Hamas, and now the rebels in Yemen, over what's going on with Israel and Palestine, are trying to shut down the Red Sea, shut down a large portion of global trade, and have just bombed a U.S. cargo ship. People need to understand how bad things could get from this. They don't see it. And I don't blame them for not seeing it. The average person goes to the grocery store, picks up a gallon of milk, and goes home. They don't know where the milk comes from. What about all your other goods? Your laptop computers? How do they get shipped around? Your fuel? With this escalation of conflict, and don't forget, Taiwan and China is our other major area of potential conflict, we could be facing war in every pocket of the world. Now, what this means when it comes to World War III is, if China moves on Taiwan, the U.S. moves to defend, Australia gets involved, the Houthi rebels in Iran then take the opportunity to go after anyone they can go after, which they're already doing. Venezuela says they're distracted, makes a move for Guyana. And then you have, of course, Russia saying, we're with China on this one. This is how you get legitimate World War III. What you need to understand in the immediate is that World War III isn't the direct problem right now, though it's pretty scary to think we may be coming to that point. The scary thing you need to understand is this video. Let me play this video for you. I believe this is the correct video. This was the deployment. U.S.-owned cargo vessel burning. Let me look, this is crazy. That thing's just gone. ABC News reports a missile fired by Yemen's Houthi rebels struck a U.S.-owned ship Monday off the coast of Yemen. Less than a day after Yemen's Houthi rebels fired an anti-ship cruise missile toward an American destroyer in the Red Sea. The attack on the Gibraltar Eagle, though not immediately claimed by the Houthis, further escalates tensions gripping the Red Sea after American-led strikes on the rebels. The U.S. and the U.K. have been engaged in joint airstrikes in Yemen, effectively starting another war. I mean, we've already had a secret war going on in Yemen for a long time, but now you've got even Democrats calling out Joe Biden for not getting the approval of Congress when he started bombing this country. And this is where it's going. Full-scale war. And the New York Times lays it out for us. U.S. and Iran battle through proxies, warily avoiding each other. Iran wants to flex its muscles without directly taking on the U.S. or Israel, but that cautious strategy is subject to miscalculation on all sides. Proxy war means nothing. It's war. Iran is not some pathetic backwater country, too. You see, when it came to Iraq and Afghanistan, the American people thought of deserts and barren wastelands. Afghanistan's, and they got a lot of poppy, and they got lithium and stuff like that, but it's not the most developed place. Iraq, similar, but, No, Iran is mountainous. It is well developed, it is massive, and it will not be so easy to fight and conquer. And this is what we are facing now. Iran, of course, not big fans of Israel. And so this conflict is effectively, Iran is supplying these groups, they're attacking us. And I'll tell you now, World War III, as I said before, is not the immediate thing you need to be worried about. What you need to be worried about is that certain foods you may like will be gone. You know, I do got to point this out. We go to these restaurants every day. Everybody does. And do you ever stop to think about the food you're getting and where it comes from? Man, the idea that I was in Alaska, okay, and they had avocados, and I was just like, okay, come on, man, and they weren't really that expensive either. I'm like, grown in Mexico and shipped to Barrow, Alaska, or Utqiagvik, whatever you want to call it. The northernmost point of the U.S. had avocados readily available. And I'm thinking to myself as I'm eating at this restaurant, I've got a cheeseburger here with Cajun spice. It's got onions, mushrooms, cheddar cheese, avocado, garlic, aioli, a little sriracha on it. And I'm just thinking, all of these things are produced in various places and have to be brought together for me to have. Kings did not eat so well. Well, my friends, we are entering an era where you too may not eat so well either. Why? Come on. If war actually escalates to this point, ain't no way you're getting avocados in New York in the winter. Strawberries in the winter? Good luck. No more strawberry smoothies for you in the winter. You've been living in luxury. You don't get it. People don't understand what it takes to grow this food. Now, to be fair, there's greenhouses in these places, so sure, maybe strawberries will exist. But it's going to be a lot like V for Vendetta. When Natalie Portman's character is at V's house, and she eats the toast, and she goes, "Is this real butter?" And the reason is, yeah, strawberries might exist, but it'll be like $50 for a little pack of strawberries because they're grown in a greenhouse because ain't nobody's going to be transporting them. And if they do, they'd be even more expensive. Fuel and resources will be diverted to war. And so you'll be eating, I don't know, you'll be eating bread. Probably no steak. Steak will be too expensive for you. Meat will be diverted to the fighting forces. Seriously. They got to give the protein to the people fighting the wars. You know, it's not all bad. I think Americans have grown quite complacent. But in the immediate, it's not so much about wartime economics. But right now, with these ships being disrupted, I was talking to Eric Prince, of Blackwater, on the Culture War podcast, and he was pointing out that, two-thirds or something, two-thirds of trade travel through the Red Sea. And, it goes up, let me see if I can actually just pull up a map and show you exactly what the issue is. I'll go to maps.google.com. Let's zoom out of Des Moines because we're in Iowa right now. And let me pull up this map. For those that are listening, you'll understand completely right here, where you can see Yemen. The Gulf of Aden is where the ship was struck. The Red Sea, and of course, up through the Sinai, near Sinai, and of course we have the what's the canal called? The Sinai Canal? Is that it? Port Said. Here's the canal. This allows a lot of ships to make their way, and there's the Great Bitter Lake, make their way into the Mediterranean, where a large amount of trade will reach North Africa, parts of the Middle East, Turkey, and the rest of Europe. This is being disrupted. When we had that one ship get stuck in the peninsula over there, or in the canal, remember how much it disrupted everything, and everyone was worried that it was going to result in prices going up? Yeah. A Suez Canal. Suez Canal. There it is. Everyone watching the show is just like, no, Tim, it's not Sinai. That's the peninsula. It's the Suez Canal. Yes, I checked. I fact-checked. Because I'm like, wow, I'm getting it wrong. It's the Suez, right? Yeah, Suez right there. And they're blocking a lot of that trade. Now, for most of you in Europe, oof, that's going to suck. For most of us here in the United States, well, it's not the biggest deal ever because trade coming from this part of the world can go around, through the North Pacific Ocean or whatever. But it's going to disrupt a lot. That means your costs are going to go up. You're going to bear that brunt. Following this, if the conflict is not dealt with, then we are going to start dealing with wartime economics. War economy, dude. It's crazy. You want to experience it? If you've ever been in a place after a hurricane, you'll truly understand conflict economics or war economics, whatever you want to call it. When we were doing conflict reporting for Vice and for these other companies, the one thing we'd always talk about is like, look, we're going to fly into this country, we're going to fly into this state, we're going to fly into this city in active conflict or disaster like a hurricane, and you've got to compensate for wartime economics, a war economy. So you go, or disaster economy, depends on what people call it. A bottle of water, $10. Cheeseburger, $50. Why? How are they supposed to get a cheeseburger into an area with no roads or bridges? So I took a picture. I was up in, as I mentioned, Barrow, Alaska. I took a picture of a menu at a restaurant. Cheeseburger, $25. People were shocked, and they were like, this is Biden's America. And I'm like, no, what? I had already said I was in Alaska. People, calm down. No, it's because the only way to get the burger up to Barrow, Alaska is by plane. Now, boats do come in periodically, but how long is that meat going to last? So they fly in huge shipments they have one flight in and out every day. So they're constantly bringing stuff in from Anchorage, and then from Anchorage, it's got to come from somewhere else. It's very difficult to bring in. Everything is expensive. When you get into a disaster economy or a war economy, they're going to say, we don't have fuel for your trucks to bring you avocados. That fuel is going to warships. It's all diverted. All the petroleum reserve and all of our excess, it's going to war. So what are you going to eat? I hope you've been taking a look at what local farm food you have. Do you have any local farms? Good luck, New York City, man. It's going to get wild. The crazy thing we talk about social collapse and war. I don't even know that a place like New York City could sustain itself in an active conflict. If World War III were to start with as many people as there are now, how do we feed, 13 million in the metro? How do you feed 13 million people when you need all your supplies for war and everything else? It's going to result in high prices. I'm not saying we don't feed people. I'm saying they'll start shipping, they'll keep food coming in, but it's going to become more and more and more expensive. We've already got people who can't pay their rent. So what happens? Nationalization, subsidies, government takeover, war bonds. Right now, we don't got to worry about that just yet. You got to worry about what's going to happen to your prices because of the Suez Canal and the Red Sea. But if you're not paying attention, then if this escalates in a year or two, you're going to be left holding an empty bag, and you're going to be in a Walmart parking lot fighting with Agnes over the last can of baked beans. Don't be that person, man. Pay attention to what's going on in the world. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, the Iowa caucus and its results. We will be going an additional hour on the show. No members-only show tonight, but please become a member at timcast.com to support our work. And tonight's show will be from 8 to just about 11, maybe like 10:45, so we can get the reaction from various individuals working with the campaign. We got a bunch of really awesome people who are in town, high-profile lawmakers, politicians, personalities, and we're going to have them rotating in and giving their thoughts, even some journalists perhaps. So it's going to be an epic show where we talk about all of these issues, but the big issue, of course, the Iowa caucus, setting the standard for the primary election. Who will be the nominee? Donald Trump is the overwhelming favorite, and he has my support. I'll say it a million times, come on, he's not a perfect guy. And in a perfect world, we'd have a perfect candidate, but we don't. We have Trump. I'll take what I can get. His foreign policy, amazing. Vivek, I think, is a nice second place. We'll see. Can Nikki Haley muster up the attention? I don't believe so, but we'll see. I'll leave it there. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Stay tuned. We'll see you all tonight, and become a member at timcast.com to support our work.